Hi, my name is Todd. In this segment of Todd's Turf Sense, we're going to be talking about greens mowing. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is get familiar with the machine itself. Okay, so here we have a Toro Flex 21 Greens Master machine. There are a number of different manufacturers and greens mower options out there. This particular unit has a free floating head, allows you to get a little closer cut, maneuver over contours. But again, like I said, there's a number of different options. But with that being said, they all operate on the same premise. Okay. Most units have an on-off switch. Some are actually equipped with two different on-off switches. One may be on the engine itself, another one may be up near the handlebar. This particular unit just has the one. Along with the on-off switch, another critical component is the choke. And up here we have the throttle. And then when it comes to actual operation, when we're going to be mowing the actual grass, this unit is self-propelled. You'll see that there's a drum here, 22-inch drum across the unit. That actually is what's turning, and that'll create your forward momentum. These tires here are just transport tires. You're not going to cut a whole lot of grass if you have these tires left on the unit. Put it on its kickstand, just lift up, pull back. And again, with every unit, there's a number of different ways these tires go off and on how they decide from a manufacturer is up to them. But either way, let's remember to take the tires off. When we're removing the kickstand, just lift up on the machine and it'll spring back. You don't want to get your shins too close to that. We know where our throttle is up here. We know where our choke is. We know where our on-off switch is. The only thing I didn't mention quite yet is the fact of how to actually turn that reel on. This is our clutch. This will engage the machine. This will make the machine go forward. If we do that just straight like this, we'll just engage this machine going forward. If we pull this lever over and push it forward, we're going to engage our reel as well. And I should also mention over here we do have a parking brake. More often than not, this is not going to be needed, but it's a necessity simply for an emergency or safety standpoint. Okay, so more often than not, you're going to be operating this unit first thing in the morning. But it's a good rule of thumb, no matter what time of day it is, to just get in the habit of choking the unit before you go ahead and start it. So, just a quick 1, 2, 3 on the actual startup process of the machine. We're going to turn our machine on to the on position. We're going to choke it. Full choke would be all the way over here. We don't necessarily need to crank on these too hard to get them started. Okay, so now our machine's running. We're ready to go forward. We want to engage the clutch nice and slow. We don't necessarily want to engage it too fast, just like you don't want to engage the clutch in your car too fast. You'll find that spot where it's engaged, and then you're off and running. And then throttle up with the machine. Okay, so the next thing we want to discuss is the actual operation of the mower, more specifically your turns. Your turn is by far the most critical component when it comes to having a smooth, successful greens mowing operation. When it comes to our turns, we want to keep in mind that this unit is always going forward. As soon as we engage that clutch, the machine isn't going to stop if we let go, or if we try to pull back on it and stop it, it's going to always want to keep going. So the most important thing, like I mentioned, is our turns. And when we're turning, there's basically one basic premise. We want to remember that we're crossing our hands over. If we don't cross our hands over when we do this turn, we're going to end up chasing the machine around in a circle, and we could end up injuring ourselves or injuring the turf if we slip and fall or if the machine gets out of control. So when you're mowing anything, whether it's greens, tees, fairways, approaches, the most typical way and probably the best way to make yourself line back up with your next pass is what I like to call the teardrop. Let's say, for example, if we were mowing straight this way and we wanted to come back and mow to the right side, our teardrop is going to start. We're going to start to the left and we're going to come back around to the right. We're going to come off the green, we're going to lift up, and we're going to continue walking forward for at least a step or two. We want to get ourselves off the green, off of the collar, minimize the wear and tear and damage that we can do to that immediate surface off the green. So after we walk straight for a few steps, we're going to just swing this machine to the left. We're going to keep walking straight. Keep in mind you're always walking. This is something that you don't want to ever try to stop and do, because like I said, the machine's going to continue to go forward on you. So again, we're coming straight, we're going to want to make our turn right, we're going to swing the machine to the left, and then as we're still walking, we're going to swing it back to our right, and we're going to try to walk into the frame of your machine. Swing it, you're going to cross your hands over, you're going to walk into this machine, and then as this machine comes back, turns back around, you're going to bring that hand back over, and you're going to replace it, and you're going to be lined right back up with your very next pass. Just the opposite for if, for example, we wanted to turn to our left. We're going to swing our machine to the right, keeping on walking, trying to walk into the frame of this machine, crossing our hands over. We're still walking. We're going to end up making that turn, crossing our hands back over. It may seem pretty simple and trivial right now, but for the new guys out there that are starting to do this, you'll see it's not so simple once you get behind the back end of that unit. Okay, so now we feel comfortable with our turns and how we're going to go about actually mowing the green. Three things we want to keep in mind now is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the flagstick from the green. We're going to quickly walk over the green and check for any debris, any large rocks, any golf spikes or ball marks that may be left behind. Something that we necessarily don't want going through the reel. The leaf litter, that's probably okay. So here we go. So there's a number of different ways we'll go about mowing our green. Today we're going to mow side to side. Typically the guys will go front to back, side to side, right to left, left to right. Continually keeping with that same theme, alternating your mowing patterns every time. So along with that, a couple things to keep in mind. We obviously have a bucket. We're catching the clippings on the green. Some places throughout the golf course we may or may not catch clippings, but we will on the green. Keep in mind that your actual cutting unit is right here. So when we're getting to the edge of the collar, we just want to make sure that we're lifting up. Again, part of the turn would be to come to the edge, lift up, and then follow through with our crossover teardrop turn. Along with that, we want to make sure that, as I mentioned previously, we have a nice consistent width. We're always consistently overlapping the same for every single pass. And then it's very critical to make sure that very first pass you make is not only the longest pass on the green, you're cutting the green in half, but as straight as possible. So now we're ready to mow our grass. The next thing we want to do is pick something off in the distance, an object that we know isn't going to move on us. And we're not going to take our eyes off that as we make our very first pass. That'll help keep things good and straight. And then as we come back, we don't necessarily want to look too far ahead from our previous pass, maybe 5 or 6 feet off of our last line, and just kind of keep that distance as you're going across the green. That'll help you keep things good and straight. Now you'll notice there's a few things there that we certainly want to point out. You'll notice that as I came off and on the green, I wasn't allowing the machine to bounce down, or I wasn't pushing it down with any force. You want to gently place that machine onto the green. Then also want to keep in mind that the weight of that machine is actually what's doing the mowing. You don't need to necessarily push down on it, and you certainly do not want to be pulling up on it, because if you're pulling up on it, you're changing your height of cut. So why don't we go ahead and we'll finish mowing the other half of the green, and we'll talk about cleanup laps. Okay, so once we're all finished mowing with our back and forth across the green, we want to talk about cleanup laps. Traditionally, what you'll want to do is make your very first pass as close to the edge as possible, meeting right up with the collar or the approach. And when you make that first pass around the green, have your machine throttled down as low as you can get it, and the machine's still going forward. That'll minimize your scalping that you may do on the edge of the green. And after you make that very first pass go in one direction, you're going to want to go ahead, pick up, come off of the green, and come back on and go the opposite direction just inside of that pass. And then keep in mind, there's going to be days when you're going to skip your cleanup laps, and there's going to be days when you may do what we call a half a cleanup lap, where you're going to come in off the edge of the green maybe 10 to 12 inches. Okay, so we're finished with our green, mowing it. We finished with the cleanup lap. Now we want to go through and just make sure that we knock down any clippings that may be left behind or any debris. This thing in here is called a dew whip. It's got a number of different names. I've heard it called a spoofy stick, but either way, there's a number of different manufacturers for this. What we want to do here is we just want to walk across the green, knock down any clippings that are left behind. Then head off to our next green. So now let's go and talk about how to clean this unit up when we're finished. So as I mentioned earlier, now we're going to go ahead and discuss the actual cleaning up of the mower and the unit when we're finished with it at the end of the day, after our mowing operations have concluded. We want to go ahead, in a perfect situation, take some compressed air or maybe have an electric blower you could plug in behind your shop and go ahead and blow the unit off before you go ahead and actually take water to it. It gives a chance to kind of make sure you don't accumulate clippings on your wash pad, and also gives that motor or engine a chance to cool off a little bit. So first thing we want to do is go ahead and remove everything on the exterior of the unit. Again, you'll notice that I'm avoiding the engine itself. We don't necessarily need to wash that engine. We don't want to be hitting that engine with water. Your technicians will really appreciate that. So once we get the exterior of the machine clean, we want to go ahead and tilt it back. And now the most critical part is actually getting that reel clean. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're just going to start by doing kind of a general rinse of the reel and the front roller. Best bet is to go ahead and stand to the side of the unit so you're not going to end up sitting here and spraying yourself and getting yourself all wet. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the only time that reel should be going forward is actually when that machine's in progress of cutting grass. A lot of heat can get built up between that reel and that bed knife with the metal on the metal. So we want to go ahead and make sure we have water or grass actually lubricating that. So whenever we're working with this reel with our hands, we want to make sure we're spinning that thing backwards. So we're going to go ahead and just go through each ribbon one at a time, make sure we get everything good and clean. So there, now we feel pretty good. We've got everything clean on the bottom of the reel and on the top of the reel. We'll spin our roller one or two times, make sure we don't have any debris left there. Go ahead and give your rear roller a spray, and you should be set. You go ahead and put your bucket back on, and go ahead and park the unit in the shop or in wherever the mechanic or technician would like to see it put. Just make sure it's free and clear of all debris.